What if Deku's quirk made him a monster? In part 2, his power grows, will he control it or lose himself? Let's find out. Location: UA. Throughout the week, Class A was practicing their corresponding jobs for the presentation. Most of the class was practicing the dance they were going to perform, some were practicing to do the special effects. Izuku, Bakugo, Kaminari, Jiro and Momo, who joined them because they needed someone who could play a keyboard, practiced the songs they were going to play. Although Izuku and Jiro worked on creating the songs, Jiro said that Izuku was very good at creating songs, but the truth was that Izuku already had several songs prepared, only with Jiro he improved them. With those times Izuku and Jiro became friends, so they talked from time to time, but they were interrupted by Arumi, who always arrived and took Izuku away or joined them. That basically happens with every woman who approaches Izuku, and one would think this girl has already fallen in love, but not. Rumi only feels safe by her side. Why? She doesn't even know why, she just doesn't like me to share that security with others. Those closest to Izuku, Bakugo, Jiro, Midnight and Rumi also realize that Izuku doesn't show his real emotions, he always has an emotionless face. When everyone laughs he doesn't laugh, or just a small forced laugh, and he never shows any more emotion. Only Rumi managed to make him blush and make him nervous twice. Bakugo told Izuku's close circle that this worries him, because it's not a change in attitude that he's like this, something must be happening to him, but he hides it. The rest of the class little by little also realized this. Let's go to the present. One day before the festival at night, everyone was in the dorm room talking to each other about everything they did this week and how they were prepared for the festival. Kaminari, glad we're ready for tomorrow. Says excitedly. Kirishima, of course we are ready, we will destroy everything. Says motivated. Ida, I'm really surprised that we've adapted to our time to be able to finish. Says cleaning his glasses. Momo, you're right, we finished well and we're not tired from overexertion. Says smiling thoughtfully. Kaminari, of course. Says shouting happily. Hey Midoriya. Says calling the aforementioned who was sitting on one of the armchairs. Izuku, what? Kaminari, why don't you sing something to relax us for a while? Says getting everyone's attention. Izuku, I'm not in the mood, plus I'm a little tired. Says with an expressionless face. Kirishima, come on old man, sing something, you sing very well, just one. Kaminari, same as he said. Izuku, ah. Okay. I'll do it just once. Says somewhat frustrated. In that Izuku creates his clones who look for the instruments and stand in front of the class. Izuku, I hope it's worth it. Says quietly. At that moment, just by listening to that song, they confirmed that something is wrong with Izuku and he doesn't want to tell others. After thinking about that for a few seconds, everyone started to applaud Izuku, who just gave a small smile and left saying good night, for everyone to respond and remain silent. Bakugo, this clears up any doubts I had. Says breaking the silence, drawing everyone's attention. He's hiding something. Kaminari, are you sure about that, my friend? We all know how weird it is that he shows us false feelings, but what does that have to do with the song? Says not understanding. Bakugo, you don't just look like an idiot. You are one. Ah well, the song says it seriously. Mina, what does it say? Mentions intrigued. Momo, I say it. Everyone looks at her. He says pain without love. Pain, I can't get enough. Pain, I like it rough. 'Cause I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all. Pain without love. Pain, I can't get enough. Pain, I like it rough. 'Cause I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all. Ida, then the Rumi, she doesn't feel anything. Says worried. Bakugo, and apparently he does it on purpose. Says seriously. Uraka, why? Bakugo, the day he took the test, he was excited when he fought, and the other day Usajiyama made him nervous, but since then he hasn't shown anything but fake feelings. He explained somewhat frustrated. That's right my readers, Izuku faked his emotions all these chapters except when he saw Bakugo. He was in the infirmary, when he fought, he wanted to fight Rumi, and when Rumi made him nervous, I wrote this to clarify. Mina, then we should help him now. Let's go to his room. She says this in a cheerful way. Bakugo, no. Not now, he says, still serious. Mina, what? Why? We can help him now, don't you want to help him? Looking at her accusingly, making him angry. Bakugo, shut up damn horned alien. Of course I want to help him, he's my friend, damn it. I'm saying this because tomorrow is the festival and we can't ruin it. Angrily shouts, scaring her. I'm getting out of here. He says before finally leaving. Jiro, you went too far, girl says, disappointed about her friend. Mina, what? But he yelled at me. Says angry. Momo, but what did you say to her? He says looking at her with a slight frown. Mina, maybe he didn't want to help, falls silent, realizing what she said. Rumi, you really are stupid girl, says angry. Ida, let's go to sleep, tomorrow is the festival and we have to be with all our energy. Says seriously. Rumi, you finally say something good, 4 eyes. Says walking towards the stairs, goodbye. So little by little they said goodbye, each one going to their room, but what they didn't know is that there was someone listening to this and it was none other than Izuku. Izuku, should I tell them the truth? Says thinking, but suddenly he has memories of the laboratory. No. Nobody should know about this. They won't see me the same, says in his mind. Cool time skip the next day. Everyone was there very early arranging everything to have their presentation ready. In this case Izuku helped to arrange, but Melissa arrived with Mirio and asked him to help her with something, thus proceeding to tell him about Eri and that they wanted to make her smile. Izuku upon hearing that began to get angry, causing a red aura to appear again on his left hand, but upon hearing that they rescued her and what they want to achieve he was able to contain himself. Currently we can see Izuku and Melissa walking towards the entrance to look for Mirio who came with Eri. Melissa, I hope this works, says nervously. Izuku, it will work, shield, all the evil that guy left will disappear today. Says seriously, besides it is a great act. Says normal. Melissa, you're right, and tell me Melissa, I don't like to draw attention to myself when people know I'm a shield, says smiling. Izuku, okay. Shield says in a mocking tone. Melissa, it's obvious how fake it is, but it still bothers me, says thinking, hey, I told you, says annoyed, pouting, but being interrupted. Izuku, there are Mirio and Eri, says avoiding his anger in an Olympian way. Melissa, Eri. She screams excitedly, getting her attention. Eri, human shield. Says impressed, if you want, tell me a better hero name. Izuku, Mirio, what are you doing? Seeing how he was hiding in a bush, but you can see his butt outside it. Mirio, comes out of the bush with a frown, but smiling because you always ruin my hiding places. Izuku, it's not that difficult, especially when Nehire gives me clues, explains calmly. Mirio, betrayal, disappointment bro. Exclaims comically. Melissa, well, leaving that aside, do you want to visit the UA? Says smiling. Izuku, why are the blondes the ones who smile the most here? He thought, seeing Mirio and Melissa, and remembering All Might. Eri, yes, I want to, but who is he? She asked, looking at Izuku, a little nervous seeing his emotionless face. Melissa, he's a new classmate of mine. Eri, you're a shield partner, what's your name? Says looking at Izuku doubtfully. Izuku, you're not even smiling and you're already so cute, I'm going to get diabetes at this rate, says thinking. I'm Izuku Midoriya, nice to meet you little one, says with a more relaxed face and a small smile. Eri, it's also a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Midoriya. Izuku, don't call me sir, I'm not old, so just call me Izuku. Eri, okay, Sir Izuku. Izuku, so you know the key, huh? He said, thinking for some reason somewhat proud. Well, come on little one, the UA isn't going to know itself, right? Eri, yes, says taking Melissa's hand. Mirio, okay, let's go, says starting to walk, being followed by Izuku and Melissa who had Eri by the hand. So they toured part of the UA where Eri looked at everything with curiosity. They also found Hatsune fixing a robot, so Izuku put Eri behind her next to Melissa, already knowing what was going to happen, in that the robot began to vote smoke, so Izuku generated a dome around the robot to avoid the possible explosion. In the end the robot ends up exploding, but the dome prevented it from expanding. After the incident Izuku literally scolded Hatsune as if she were a little girl, which amused Melissa and Mirio. Then they said goodbye to her and continued exploring the UA. When they were walking they called Mirio and he had to leave, but he said he would return before the presentation, so our protagonist and Melissa continued walking with Eri in the middle of both until they met someone. Nehire, Izuku shouts when she notices the green-haired boy's presence. How are you? Are you coming to support me for the beauty pageant? Says happily and asking as always. Izuku, first of all, hello and yes, I'm okay, Nehire, and of course I'm going to support you for the contest. Says calmly. Nehire, great, you're the best. Says to notice the presence of Eri and Melissa. Eri-chan and Melissa-chan, I'm glad you came. Melissa, it's nice to see Nehire senpai, says smiling. Nehire, hi Eri, maybe you don't remember me, but I was there to rescue you. How good it is to see you, says happily, and then realizes something and puts on a smile. Hee hee, how cute, says confusing Melissa and Izuku. Our protagonist and Melissa look down and realize that Eri, who was in the middle of both of them, had also taken Izuku's hand, while still holding Melissa's, which at first glance made them look like a family, which made Melissa blush and a drop of sweat fall from Izuku's forehead, since inside he was dying of nerves. Nay higher, what a lovely family they make. Happy scream. Meanwhile, elsewhere at UA. Rumi can be seen carrying things onto the stage, when suddenly he feels a pang in his chest and instinctively kicks out, sending a box that was there flying. Rumi, why do I feel annoyed with a blonde? Says in her mind and then continues walking. While in the background somewhat far from where Rumi was, Mineta is seen talking to Kaminari, when suddenly a box falls on his head, knocking him out. Back with the main character. Melissa, don't confuse things, Nehire senpai, she says, blushing more than before since everyone heard Nehire. Izuku, Nehire, not now, he tells her while pulling her cheek. Eri, are we a family? Says innocently. Melissa, says nervously, not knowing what to say. Izuku, think Izuku Midoriya. What do you say to a girl so fragile? Says thinking upset. Yes, we are, little one says calmly. You are deaf, stupid, or both, screams internally. Melissa, what? Nehire, what? Yu, Nehire's friend, she's the one who chooses her clothes, what? Random boy, what a crap. Izuku, covering Eri's ears, hey, there's a girl here. Random guy, sorry. The stranger shouts and then walks away. Nehire, so they are a family, says somewhat doubtful and shocked. At that, Izuku takes Melissa and Nehire, and brings them closer to him. Izuku, I said it for Eri, I can't just say no to her, says in a low voice. Melissa, so that's why, she says quietly, as her blush diminishes. Izuku, yeah, so don't get excited, says with a chibi face. Melissa, hits him, I didn't get excited, it took me by surprise. Melissa, slaps him, I didn't get excited, it took me by surprise. She says with a slight blush. Nehire, but Izuku, why don't you try to tell Eri? Maybe she'll understand. Izuku, Nehire. She knows what a family is, but she's also a little girl, she's innocent and easily gets excited, and because of everything that happened, her mental state isn't entirely stable. She still blames herself for the loss of Mirio's quirk, and the idea of all this is for her to smile and be happy. Says surprising the two females. Nehire, okay, you're right, you're very smart, Izuku says smiling. Izuku, thanks, and you're still just as cute, says calmly, making Nehire hug him like a stuffed animal. Melissa, so, continue, is interrupted by her cell phone. Who is it? Aoyama, what do you need? The rope is worn out. Okay, I'll get another one, bye. Izuku, you have to go, right? Melissa, yes, says embarrassed. Izuku, don't worry, I'll take care of Eri, says with a slight smile. Melissa, thanks Izuku and good luck, Nehire senpai says as she runs away using her quirk. Eri, where did Shield go? Says behind Izuku and Nehire. Izuku, he had to do something important, but he'll be back. In the meantime it'll be you and me, what do you think? Says calmly. Eri, I think it's fine, and you're very kind, says, making Izuku's heart almost stop from the tenderness. Izuku, well, bye Nehire, we'll go see you at the beauty pageant. He says as Eri takes his hand. Nehire, goodbye. Izuku looks at Eri. Goodbye Eri-chan, I hope you are there, your support will help me a lot. Eri, goodbye, says waving her hand. They walked for a long time while looking at everything until they came across some students from Class B. Izuku, hello Class B, says waving with his other hand. Tetsu, oh hello Midoriya, says while carrying a box. Izuku, hello. Tetsu, Kirishima told me that they will do a presentation, is it true? Says with curiosity. Izuku, yes, and what will you do? Tetsu, we're going to do a play, which was Monoma's idea, says sadly, since he knows that Izuku doesn't like Monoma in the least. Izuku, I thought he was just thinking about how to annoy us. Says calmly. Tetsu, same here, says funny, but at that moment Monoma arrives. Monoma, what is someone from Class A doing here? Are you here to see what Class B is doing? Because it's obvious that they won't win. Says speaking with an annoyed and arrogant tone. Izuku, whatever each class does, it doesn't matter, Monoma, the thing is to give a good show, so stop bothering me. Says, starting to get upset, kill him. Kill him. Kill him, These words echoed in his head. Monoma, sure, and you want me to believe you? Looks at Eri and this is a girl? I must say that horn is pretty ugly, ha ha ha, says, scaring Eri, making her eyes fill with tears. Izuku, seeing this, was the straw that broke the camel's back. Izuku, kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. He grabs Monoma's shoulder hard, making him look at him. This is what Monoma saw. Izuku, be thankful that that girl is here, because you would be dead where you are, says, while his voice distorts into demonic dreams. After saying that, Monoma was terrified. He looked everywhere to see if anyone else saw Izuku's face and heard what he said, but nothing, only he heard and saw it, so he just proceeded to leave. Tetsu, what happened to him? He wondered when he saw how Monoma left. Do you know what happened to Midoriya? Izuku, I have no idea. Tetsu, well, see you, the beauty pageant is going to start. See you, says goodbye while going with Eri towards the pageant stage. Tetsu, goodbye Midoriya. Says with a smile. Izuku and Eri walked for a few minutes and arrived at the stage on time as the contest was about to begin, so they saw how several students from other classes passed by, until students from Class B arrived. Why? Well, easy, it was the Kendo president's turn of Class B, now it was the turn of the champion of the previous year. Izuku thought she would be someone beautiful, seeing that she beat Nehire, who already is, but when Bibimi Kenranzaki came out champion of the previous year, Izuku still did not understand how she could beat Nehire. If she even touched her heels, Izuku could not imagine the money she used to bribe, because seriously, she was not beautiful like Nehire, and the arrogance she transmitted could be felt from kilometers away. Then it was Nehire's turn, who began to fly in a free and tender way, demonstrating all her innocence and beauty. After Nehire's act, Izuku found Mirio, who arrived just in time to see Nehire's act. Now they had to wait a few minutes to count the votes to announce the winner. Time skip 15 minutes. Presenter, we will announce the winner of the contest. Says, making everyone come closer. Mirio, I hope Nehire wins. I was very excited, says, smiling. Izuku, she will win, no doubt. What do you say, little one? Says with Eri on his shoulders so she can see. Eri, Miss Nehire will win. Izuku, you see Mirio, she thinks the same. Mirio, you're right, says, smiling. Announcer, the winner of the beauty contest is Nehire Hato. Shouts, causing everyone to start clapping and Nehire to celebrate, but Bibimi, it's not fair. Screams, calling everyone's attention. How did she win? I should have win. Not that stupid good for nothing bitch. Angrily shouts at Izuku. Izuku, take Eri, says, giving her to Mirio and jumping, falling on the stage. Wow, I expected something like that, but I didn't know you were such a bad loser, says, making Bibimi angry, and the others laugh. Bibimi, and who are you, you idiot? Izuku, oof, with that mouth you kiss your mother, says mockingly. Bibimi, damn you. What do you want? She exclaimed angrily. Izuku, what do I want? Well, I just came for an explanation from you. Bibimi, what would it be? Izuku, I want you. Izuku's face turns serious. To explain to me why you get angry about losing knowing that you cheated? Bibimi, gets very nervous. What are you talking about? I wouldn't cheat. Izuku, how strange, you know. You being someone arrogant and with that makeup that would scare a clown, winning would be difficult last year, says, calling everyone's attention and making some laugh. And by chance last year you had the majority of the votes from the first years, something that caught my attention, so I went to the second year classes and asked about last year's contest. But is interrupted. Bibimi, what nonsense are you saying? They only found me beautiful. Screams in a tone close to desperation. Izuku, you know, they don't say the same thing as you. Most say they were threatened and others bribed, says, surprising everyone. Bibimi, lies. They are just lies. Says desperately. Izuku, come on, there's no reason to deny it, it's obvious, so admit that you were never the champion and that's it, problem solved, says, staying serious. Bibimi, no. No. Never. She looks at the audience and makes a sign. Ivimi made the sign and a muscular guy, a little taller than Izuku, got on stage. He didn't look like someone intelligent, so Izuku deduced that he was someone who had been bribed. Leave her alone, she won fairly and now it should be the same, says arrogantly. Izuku, and you must be one of those bribed. How much do they pay you to defend her? Of course not, I'm just defending her from a charlatan. Izuku, if I'm supposed to be a charlatan, why has no one else but you come up here? He asked mockingly. Looks at Izuku and notices that he is not very muscular, but honestly because of Izuku's clothes you can't see his real physique. I challenge you to an arm wrestling game. If I win you stop talking and Bibimi wins the contest. If you win everything you say will be true, what do you say? I ask arrogantly. Izuku. After hearing Izuku's answer, they brought a table and a ribbon to tie it up. Once this was brought, Izuku and the guy stood at different ends of the table and placed their right hands, which were tied with the ribbon so that it wouldn't come apart. After hearing Izuku's response, they brought a table and a ribbon to tie it up. Once this was brought, Izuku and the guy stood at different ends of the table and placed their right hands, which were tied with the ribbon so that they would not separate when applying force. Presenter, let's wrap this up. 1. Ready to lose idiot says arrogant. Presenter, 2. Izuku, I don't need to be ready for something that won't happen says neutral. Presenter, 3. The guy began to exert such force that the veins on his arm and face stood out. But Izuku didn't even flinch and kept moving. Huh? Says shocked like everyone else. Izuku, are you done? Says without any expression because I am says to apply a little force making the guy's hand crash against the table. The presenter gave the victory to Izuku, but seconds after giving it to him the table began to crack and finally broke in half. Izuku, well, everything is settled, now we can reward the beautiful lady over there says pointing to Nehire. No. One more game and it's all over he says nervously since Bibimi pointed out that he wouldn't give him his payment. Izuku, accept your defeat, don't be like Bibimi says simply. Come on, are you a chicken? Says mockingly. Izuku, no, I just don't follow stupidity. Looks at Nehire you really don't want to, then I win, and she's mine. Says pointing at Nehire causing disgust in her. Izuku, okay imbecile, what's your game? He says while his pupils turned red and his face showed hatred. Haha it's a simple game each one will hit with his quirk and whoever falls first loses says while his arm turns to stone. Izuku, well I started he couldn't finish because he received a blow that sent him against a wall. Ha, how weak he was, he couldn't take a hit people started booing there was no rule against that, and Bibimi wins, that was the deal. Bibimi, I want my prize says demanding to the presenter. But suddenly the atmosphere became very heated and people began to complain about it. Bibimi, why is it so hot? Says while her makeup falls with her sweat. Izuku, I've never seen someone as cowardly as you says for everyone to see how he stood up without a scratch although if it had been someone else I would have been knocked out by that blow, but unfortunately for you I'm not like others says walking while his jacket and shirt began to tear, while with each step Izuku took he felt hotter. Izuku, if I remember correctly, it's my turn now, right? Says in front of the guy who was scared to death I'll show you what a real punch is. Says to raise his arm. Imagine he only has his fist. Okay. I give up. Just don't hit me. Says, shedding tears, scared to death. Izuku, okay, then tell me. Was what I said true? He asked with his fist still ready to attack. It's all true. She threatened the first one so she could win. And in my case she bribed me. Izuku, thanks, now go says for the guy to run away loser. Says whispering. Nehire, Izuku. Says jumping towards Izuku to hug him, thanks for defending me. Says smiling. Izuku, you're welcome. Nehire, hey Izuku. Izuku, what's wrong? Nehire, you should get yourself a new shirt. Izuku, I'll get one. Nehire, I hope it's quick because why guess you have some admirers out there pointing to the audience watching how the women couldn't stop looking at Izuku. Izuku, strikes a pose flexing his muscles causing some women to faint or have a runny nose wow. I didn't expect that says neutral well now to get back to normal says to expel steam and his muscles go down leaving them as before. MIRKO, wow, what was that? He asked impressed. Izuku, a skill that I'll explain to you later, because I have to go prepare for the act. MIRKO, right, Eri and I will see you there, right Eri? Eri, yes, we will see Mr. Izuku. Izuku, see you says before running away. After that, Class A finished arranging everything on time. Melissa arrived just in time with a rope, she fought with gentle, people began to arrive at the front of the stage waiting for the act, among them were MIRKO and Eri. Kaminari for his part had to calm Jiro and Izuku down so she wouldn't get nervous when singing. Now it was time to leave. Bakugo went to the drums in the back next to Momo who went to the keyboard, Jiro went to the front with his guitar, Izuku positioned himself behind Jiro on the right side with his guitar and Kaminari on the left with the bass, while the entire class positioned itself. People were excited to enjoy such a spectacle and Eri was smiling for the first time. The dancers in the class began to leave and people began to leave thinking that it was all over. How wrong they were. Hey hey, who said this is over? Those words echoed in the ears of the people who turned to see that it was Izuku who spoke. Izuku, show continues, we will not just leave you like this. Says smiling at the audience. Ready guys? Referring to Bakugo, Kaminari and Jiru, not Momo because she left. People started clapping like crazy and in one house, specifically the Bakugos, a woman was screaming with happiness when she heard Izuku singing through the TV. Izuku, do you want another one? Says excitedly. Public, yes. Izuku, let's go, that's what they said. Once again they were applauded by the audience and Izuku managed to see Eri smile, but he knew that something was missing. Eri still had not released all the guilt she felt, in addition to feeling lost after having lived for years in a laboratory. Izuku, guys, gets the attention of his group. I need us to play that song. Says receiving a nod from his companions. At that point Izuku activated his quirk, surprising the audience, but the surprise was even greater when they saw that he began to float with his guitar. Izuku began to move in the air while playing his guitar and singing, starting to advance towards where Eri and Mirio were. Mirio understood the lyrics and realized what Izuku wanted to do, but something that surprised him was seeing that Eri understood the song because she was attentive and had small tears in her eyes. Izuku used his quirk, causing Eri to be surrounded by a blue aura and begin to float like him. When the song ended, Eri rushed to hug Izuku. Eri, thank you, thank you. Sen, Izuku says smiling happily. Izuku, there's no need to thank you, little one, I'll always help you, says returning the smile. Then people started to applaud and cheer the class, and Izuku realized that his quirk did activate itself, generating waves. Izuku laughed at this with Eri. Izuku, Eri, have you flown before? I see you calm, looking at both of them floating above the audience. Eri, yes, I once flew with Melissa to my rescue. Izuku, do you like angels? Eri, yes. They are very beautiful. Says showing all her childish side. Izuku, look, starts to move his hand and neon blue wings appeared from Eri's back. You control them, you are an angel now, so take advantage, says smiling. Eri, great. Says starting to fly everywhere. Izuku, wow, he liked it, says with a drop of sweat on his head. At that moment Izuku saw that his companions were calling him. Izuku, hey guys, says keeping his smile. Kirishima, hello Midori, you're smiling. Izuku, what? Momo, he says that because you are always serious. Izuku, oh. Says while his mind was a mess, shit. I let myself go. I only have a few minutes, says in his mind desperately. Bakugo, hey DEKU, you never told us you could fly, says somewhat intrigued. Izuku, I forgot to say it. Uraka, the waves you generated in the air were also a nice detail. Izuku, thanks, but it wasn't intentional. I got carried away by the moment and my quirk activated on its own. Says somewhat embarrassed, closing his eyes and opening them again. Kirishima, Midoriya, what happened to your eye, says making everyone look at Izuku's left eye. Izuku, what's wrong? Kaminari, your eye is black and your pupil turned red, are you okay? Says seeing how Izuku got nervous. Izuku, covers his eye quickly, shit that was so fast, says in his mind I have to go, says nervously. Lita, are you okay? Says a little worried. Izuku, yeah, you already have me, as interrupted by an angry Bakugo. Bakugo, don't lie DEKU. It's not okay. IT shows. Says angry and at the same time worried. Izuku, I'm fine, I have to go, bye, says to jump, avoiding them to say anything else. Izuku falls onto the UA building breathing heavily. Izuku, shit, this is getting harder and harder, I have to avoid getting carried away by my emotions again, says seriously watching how as I return to normal now I just have to say goodbye to Eri, where will she be? Says looking around and notices the entrance of the UA perfect. Izuku proceeds to jump and fall silently near the entrance and sees Eri with Melissa saying goodbye to her, so he takes advantage of moving stealthily until he gets behind Melissa and scares her, making her jump a little, making Eri laugh. Izuku, how easy it is to scare you, says with a neutral face. Melissa, Izuku. Don't scare me like that. Says pouting. Izuku, okay, but she did like it, pointing at Eri. Eri, it was funny, says smiling. Izuku, hey little one, I hope to see you again, so take care, says keeping his face neutral while caressing Eri's head. Iri notices Izuku's face, and notices that like hers before that didn't show anything. Iri wanted to return the favor to Izuku, so she hugged Izuku in a surprising way. Izuku, hey. What's wrong, little one? Iri, you went through the same thing as me, right? Says, tightening the hug. Izuku. Iri, you'll be fine, I'll help you, just like you helped me. Says, smiling tenderly. Izuku began to shed small tears, which surprised Melissa, since she couldn't hear the conversation well. Izuku, thanks little one, take care, he says, whispering, while Iri separated from the hug. Iri, goodbye, says to get into Aizawa's car and leave. Melissa, are you okay? Says when she sees Izuku's tears. Izuku, I'm fine. I'm fine now, says with a slight smile. Location, UA facilities. Izuku and Melissa head towards the dormitories after saying goodbye to Iri, while they got to know each other a little along the way, getting along quite well. When they arrived at the dormitories, they met all their classmates, and there was also a group of strangers to Izuku. Ida, is your eye okay, Midoriya? He asked, still worried about his partner. Izuku, I always was, says seriously and somewhat sharply. Melissa, what happened to your eye? She asked without understanding what they were talking about. Izuku, nothing important, Melissa, it's just that they didn't see well, apparently still serious. Melissa, okay, says with a smile, but realizing that this answer worried her classmates. Izuku, and who are they? Says, pointing towards the unknown group. We are the Wild Pussycats. Imagine that Ragdoll has a forced smile. Izuku, okay, that was unnecessary, but now I remember who they are. Says with his neutral face. Tiger, kid, we always introduce ourselves like this. Says a little offended. Mandalay, we may not have seen you at camp before, so I assume you're new to Class A, looking at the green-haired boy. Izuku, yes, I've been here for a few weeks, but I haven't made any progress in training because of the festival. Clarifies. Pixie Bob, what is your quirk? You must be strong to enter Class A at this time. Says, looking at Izuku up and down. Izuku, I don't think I'm that strong, but I'm not bad either, says calmly. Mineta, sure. Says the one who destroyed an improved army of robots in less than 3 minutes, says sarcastically. Izuku, ignores what Mineta said, and my quirk is vitality. It allows me to use my vital energy to create different things for all kinds of uses. It increases my physical strength, speed and senses. Unfortunately, it is a double-edged sword. When absorbing my energy, it leaves me exhausted, and if I exceed it, can kill me. Tiger, wow, it's quite a high price, kid, and how long can you use your quirk? Izuku, thanks to training I can use it for 3 days, but if I create many large things or I am in a fight that requires a lot of energy to increase my strength and speed, it is reduced too much. Explains, leaving everyone surprised. Tiger, boy, you are really good, taking into account your quirk, managing to maintain it for 3 days is incredible. Izuku, thank you, says with a slight smile. Izuku, first a question, says, attracting the group's attention. Why is that kid looking at me as if he was planning 1,000 ways to kill me, he says while pointing at Kota, who was looking at him threateningly. Mandalay, huh? What's wrong with you, Kota? Kota, are you Melissa's boyfriend? Says, making everyone's jaws drop to the floor, and Izuku hit his head with his palm. And Melissa looked like a steam train. Izuku, seriously, it's the second time in the same day. Just because we arrived together doesn't mean we're in a relationship, okay, kid? Kota nods, and Izuku sees Mina about to speak. And you don't start with your things, okay? He says, stopping her from talking. Kota, so they're not boyfriends? Izuku and Melissa nod. Thank goodness, I wasn't going to let the heroine who saved my life go out with just anyone, he says protectively. Izuku, that's offensive, kid, but you did well to worry about Melissa. Says calmly. Rumi, Izu-kun, you said that it was the second time someone said something like that to you. Who was that person? She says, smiling, but she felt a little upset inside. Izuku, was as interrupted. Nay, higher, I did it. Says, screaming, entering the room, being followed by Mirio and Tamaki. Izuku, you like interrupting me, don't you? Says, looking at Nehire, who quickly approached him. Nehire, no, I just like to say things, says, smiling. Izuku, I realized, says with slight sarcasm. Nehire, hey, says in a childish way while pulling Izuku by her cheek. Izuku, okay, what are you doing here? Asks while preventing Nehire from pulling his cheek again. Mirio, we came to greet you and congratulate you for the concert, it was very good, and you, Izuku, Owe me an explanation, says smiling. Izuku, what about? MIRKO, about your fight during the beauty pageant, clarifies this, making everyone look at Izuku. Ida, Midoriya, did you fight in the contest? He asked, moving his arms in a robotic manner. Izuku, yes. Tamaki, more than a fight, it was a humiliation. Says while looking at the wall. Tiger, boy, what happened? Izuku, I had my reasons. Nehire, should I show them to you, Izuku? Izuku, how? Nehire, I recorded everything, says smiling. Izuku, well, I didn't expect you to record it, but just show them and save me an explanation. Says as he sits down on one of the chairs in the living room. So Nehire proceeded to show them the video that showed everything that happened during the contest, surprising both the class and the professionals when they saw Izuku's strength and his ability, which in addition to surprising all the females present blushed. Kaminari, unbelievable old man, you even flinched against the kind of third party, says praising Izuku. Kirishima, that's for men. Screams in the air. Izuku, it's not that big of a deal, he was just an idiot with super superiority issues. Says calmly. MIRKO, but how does that ability of yours work? Izuku, my quirk uses my life energy, so it's pure energy, so I thought about solar energy which I can absorb to make myself stronger for a few minutes since it's a lot of energy for my body. Tiger, incredible, but you shouldn't fight here, but I forgive you because you have incredible destructive power. Says congratulating him. Izuku, thank you. But Izuku, looking in another direction, saw Ragdoll with a face that showed great sadness and used a fake smile to hide it. Seeing this, Izuku approaches Mandalay to ask what is wrong with his partner. Izuku, Miss Mandalay says, calling her attention, is something wrong with your partner? Mandalay, did they tell you what happened at your class camp? Izuku, yes, an attack where they kidnapped Bakugo and a heroine 12 Serene. Mandalay, Ragdoll was the kidnapped heroine, she was subjected to some experiments where she lost her quirk because of a villain. Since then she has been quite down for not being able to be a heroine and apparently she has one or another trauma. Says sad for her partner. Izuku, do you know who that villain was? Says containing his anger. Mandalay, he was the same villain who fought against All Might, All for One. Suddenly everyone in the room felt the atmosphere heavier and Mandalay swore she saw Izuku's eyes change for a few seconds. Izuku, All for One, you are a bastard. Says thinking angrily, most likely he thinks it's the end of everything, says impacting Mandalay. Mandalay, how did you deduce that? Izuku, I know how it feels. Sighs, I have an idea to help her. Izuku begins to float, drawing everyone's attention. Izuku creates a guitar and without anyone noticing, he creates two clones, one with a drum kit and the other with another guitar. Izuku, still floating, began to move in the air calmly while singing. Ragdoll began to understand the lyrics of the song, causing tears to start coming out of his eyes. Izuku began to float around the Ragdoll, making it clear to everyone that the song was directed at her. After finishing singing Izuku, Ragdoll hugs him and bursts into tears. Ragdoll, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Repeated while hugging Izuku, crying. Izuku, you're welcome, after all I want to be a hero and a hero always helps others no matter how. Says determined, receiving a smile from Ragdoll. Ragdoll separated from Izuku and went to hug her team, who were happy that she was happy again. Rumi, how did you do it, Izu? Asked to see how you helped Ragdoll. Izuku, a hero doesn't just help with his fists, and words are stronger than any attack. That's what I did, Rumi-chan explains, making everyone think. Izuku approached the pussycat so he could talk to Ragdoll. Izuku, are you feeling better, Ragdoll? Ragdoll, yes, better thanks to you. Says smiling. Tiger, thanks for helping her, boy says, thanking him. Izuku, no need to thank. But I have an idea to help you with your Ragdoll quirk, says seriously, surprising the group and getting everyone's attention, especially MIRKO. Ragdoll, seriously, how? She asked excitedly. Izuku, with an ability that I possess, I'm not 100% sure if it will work, but you won't suffer any effects if it doesn't work. Do you want to try it? He asked seriously. Ragdoll. Yes, I will try, I trust you, says smiling. Izuku, okay, take my hand. Ragdoll does as requested. Well, let's start. Izuku takes a breath and his hair started to move, an aura appeared around him, but unlike the normal one, it was calmer and white. His hair turned white and his eyes turned silver. So imagine that it's Izuku and that he has a calmer face. Everyone was surprised, wondering what else they didn't know about Izuku. Little by little Izuku's aura began to surround Ragdoll, which felt that aura transmitted a pleasant warmth. After 1 minute Izuku began to show signs of effort, something that Ragdoll saw who was going to say stop, but Izuku stopped her. Barely 30 seconds passed when everyone saw blood coming out of Izuku's nose and mouth, something that worried everyone. Ragdoll, Midoriya. Stop it, that's enough. Says scared. Izuku. Kept using his quirk. Bakugo, DEKU stop. Izuku. Tiger, shit. Ragdoll let go of the boy. Ragdoll, I try to do that but it won't let me. Desperate scream. Rumi, Izu. Let her go. Izuku, whispering T not yet. Nay higher, Izuku you tried, please stop. Says crying. Everyone watched as Izuku began to stagger, then fell to his knees and began to cough up blood. Izuku, shit. Mandalay, Midoriya just let her go you can die. Says worried. Izuku, I won't do it. Just a little bit longer. Screams already angry. The aura surrounding Ragdoll began to disappear and join Izuku, causing Izuku to get up trembling. Izuku, Miss Ragdoll? He asked, drawing her attention. You tried to use your quirk on me. Ragdoll, oh okay, says nervously. Ragdoll looks at Izuku and tries to use his quirk. At first he can't see anything, but Izuku told him to try again. Ragdoll didn't have much hope, but little by little he could clearly see Izuku's weakness, as well as that of the others. Ragdoll, my quirk came back, says surprised. Everyone was impressed. Izuku was not only strong but he was able to return Ragdoll's quirk. Izuku, IIJ just needed a little tea time, says weakly as he coughs up a large amount of blood, leaving a small puddle of blood on the floor. Izuku began to stagger and when he was about to fall he was taken by Rumi, who put her arm over his shoulder. Rumi, I got you, says smiling. Izuku, thanks, says to the best. Mirio, you gave him back his quirk. Izuku. Could you do the same with me? Excitedly asks. Izuku, sure, but another day, right now I just want to sleep, okay? Says more relaxed, but he looked like he hadn't slept for days. Mirio, calm down my friend, I can wait, says smiling. At that point the pussycats approached Izuku, who hugged him, leaving him trapped in the hug, while Rumi left before being trapped in the hug. Pussycats, thank you very much Midoriya/boy, they say, very happy, but too much, while they kill Izuku in their hug. Izuku, you're welcome, I already told you that I want to be a hero and I will always help those who need it, says tiredly, but determined. Izuku, now will you please let me go? Ragdoll, one more moment, says smiling. Izuku, Rumi-chan. Rumi, yes? Izuku, help me out, says referring to the hug. Rumi, no, says smiling a little nervously. Izuku, betrayal, disappointment, says jokingly. Hearing Izuku joke, everyone without exception looked at Izuku in surprise, causing the pussycats to end their hug. Izuku, what? Is there something on my face? Asks in a tone comparable to that of a drunk. Kirishima, bro, are you okay? He asked a little worried. Izuku, of course I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be? Red Metapod says, causing some to laugh. Bakugo, ha ha ha. I can't even think of anything better. That DEKU is so good. Says laughing out loud. Izuku, thanks. Muslim with anger issues. Bakugo, huh? Kaminari, ha ha ha. How did Bakugo look? Says making Bakugo angry. Izuku, shut up. Damn Pikachu. Defective says making everyone laugh, but Jiru was on the ground laughing out loud. Izuku, and finishing. Answering you. Red Metapod. How could I not be happy? If there's everything here. Points to the pussycats, there's a Nico group. Points to Ida the cousin. Of Sonic points to Tokoyami A. Bird points to Minayu. What are you? A secret daughter of the Pink Panther. And the alien. Points to Todoroki the copy. Of Zuko. With traumas included. Todoroki, I don't have any traumas, Midoriya. Clarifies somewhat irritated. Izuku, that's it. I'll check it. Me. Saying that, Izuku creates a tentacle that comes out of his back, which goes to the kitchen where you can hear him throwing things everywhere, until he appears again with a kettle with boiling water. Momo, I don't think something like that would scare Todoroki, right? Todoroki, no response. Todoroki turns to look and only sees an ice cocoon where Todoroki was. Izuku, I told you, says maintaining his tone, while Momo created an axe and began to break the ice to get Todoroki out. At that, Izuku moves away from everyone a little, to go to the sofa to sit down. Sero, someone tell me what's wrong with Midoriya? He looks like a drunk getting a nod from several. Kaminari, true, in a moment it changed completely. Momo, I think I know what it is. Says getting everyone's attention. Bakugo, what would it be? Momo, it's because of the fatigue from using Quirk, it's basically like he hasn't slept in days, making him not think clearly. Says making everyone understand. Mina, so we just have to take him to his room to sleep? Momo, yes. Mandalay, I think they should take it already. Rumi, why? Tiger, just watch girl. Says pointing to where Izuku was. Turning to look, everyone saw how Izuku was sitting on the sofa next to Nehire, but only that Izuku was playing with Nehire's cheeks, stretching them as if she were a little girl. Izuku, how can you be so tender? Says still playing with Nehire's cheeks. Nehire, Izuku, that's enough. It tickles me, says tenderly. Everyone could barely stand such a tender act, but someone didn't react the same way. Rumi, okay Izu-kun, you are going to sleep right now, says angry and jealous, obviously avoiding that the others notice it, but they still noticed Rumi's strange behavior. I don't know why it bothers me, says thinking. Izuku, what? I don't want. You are not my mother. Rumi, I'm your friend, so let's go, there's classes tomorrow, says authoritatively. Izuku, okay. He stops playing with Nehire's cheeks and gets up from the couch. But when Izuku gets up, he looks Rumi up and down. Rumi, what do you see so much, Izu-kun? Still jealous. Izuku, since when? Bunnies. They are so beautiful. And sexy. Everyone, literally everyone, thought Izuku was dead, even Mineta was calling a funeral home, because every man who has said that to Rumi has ended up in the hospital, and Mineta knew it perfectly well why he has gone to the hospital 3 times because of Rumi. Rumi, idiot. Screams to give him a slap, while having a slight, but barely visible blush. Izuku, besides being pretty, she has a lot of strength. Says rubbing his head. Rumi, so you want another hit, says threateningly. Izuku, okay, I won't talk anymore. Well, I'm going to sleep. Bye, says and starts walking, staggering from one side to the other. Rumi, I'll help you get there, wait for me. Izuku, I can. Alone. Rumi, then why are you going to the kitchen? The bedrooms are on the other side. Points to the opposite side. Izuku, you know what? You better help me. Says so Rumi can guide him to his room and make sure he doesn't kill himself on the way. Kirishima, we better go to sleep too, huh? Ida, yes, there are classes tomorrow, it will be better to sleep because there is training with Aizawa-sensei. Momo, but what about the pussycats? We can't just leave them alone like that, there are guests. Tiger, calm down girl, we were leaving anyway. Pussycats, nice to see you again, see you soon. Class A, minus Izuku and Rumi, goodbye anyway. Time skip a day. The entire Class A can be seen having their second class of the day with Aizawa before the break to start training. Everyone was listening to what Aizawa was saying, except for someone who was barely holding his head up, that was Izuku. Aizawa, Midoriya pays attention to class, says tiredly. Izuku. Aizawa, Midoriya. Says raising his tone a little. Izuku, yes I'm alive. Says raising his head, but immediately lowered it. Aizawa, what's wrong? Says asking the others. Rumi, he pushed his quirk too hard the day before and he's still exhausted because of it. Aizawa, AHG. Okay, can someone tell Midoriya that he can sleep until before recess? But when Aizawa finished speaking, a bang was heard and everyone turned to see that it was Izuku who fell on the table and fell asleep instantly. Aizawa, apparently he did listen to me, says with a drop of sweat on his head. Well, let's continue. The whole class continued with their homework while Izuku slept peacefully until it was time for recess, where Izuku instantly woke up and this time had regained his energy, having the same attitude as always. Class A was arriving at the cafeteria calmly, but unfortunately Monoma from Class B was waiting for them. Monoma, wow, here's the stupid Class A, ha ha ha. At first glance it's very obvious that we're the best. Says speaking with his usual tone, that is, a combination of mocking and arrogant. Todoroki, again? Says to himself while everyone else thought the same. Rumi, stop fucking around you damn peroxide blonde. She screams very angry because she can't stand it anymore. Monoma, well, look, we have the rabbit here, ha ha ha. Are you sure you're a student? Because you look more like the Class A mascot, you're just a stupid rabbit playing the hero. Although Rumi couldn't be seen inside, it hurt her, but before anyone could act or speak, Izuku stood in front of Monoma, intimidating him. Izuku, you know something Monoma, here nobody cares about your shitty life or opinion, nobody likes you, you're just an imbecile who needs attention because he doesn't get it at home and regarding classes, none is better than the other, let that be clear to you imbecile. He says in a serious tone, but implying that he was angry. You know what, let's go better, in the dorms there are things left to be able to cook something, he says, receiving a nod from his class. The whole class was starting to leave, but at that moment they were stopped when they heard something. Monoma, wow, you are really disrespectful. Your mother didn't teach you any manners. Your mother is surely an easy bitch, ha ha ha. Maybe I'll go to her house and sleep with her, ha ha ha. He says out loud, making several people angry and others feel disgusted, but Class A looked at Izuku, who didn't turn around. Izuku, SENOTAQUENOAPRECIASTUVIDAMONOMA says in a distorted way, while turning around showing his face, leaving many terrified. Izuku, it's clear that you don't appreciate your monochrome life, he says in a distorted manner, while turning around showing his face, leaving many terrified. Imagine that it's Izuku and he doesn't have horns, besides a single line on his face. Monoma, what did you say, idiot? Says scared to death. Izuku, NADSOLOTEEDELENTOLOQUEPASARAENLOSSIGUIENTESMINUTIOS. Monoma, what? As he finishes speaking, he receives a right hook in the face from Izuku, which makes him step back a little. Monoma, seriously, that's your strength? You didn't do anything to me, idiot, ha ha ha. Says, recovering his mocking tone. Izuku, JESOLONECESITABATOCARTE says mockingly while his voice becomes more distorted. Monoma, huh? Monoma began to be surrounded by a red aura and rise into the air, while Izuku's hand was stretched out and had the same aura. Izuku, SABESMONOMA, IMBECILESCOMOTUDEBERNARDERENFIERNO. In Izuku's pupils they became redder and very small, demonstrating a gigantic madness and bloodlust. Izuku moved his outstretched arm to the right with force, causing Monoma to be thrown in the same direction, causing him to hit the wall, breaking his arm, making him scream in pain, but he didn't stop there. Izuku began to move his arm in different directions, hitting Monoma mercilessly. So, Izuku is Sans and the heart is Monoma colliding in the same directions. No one was able to move because they were terrified, because all they could hear were Monoma's screams of pain and see Izuku's face of satisfaction, who only showed madness. Little by little Monoma's screams diminished as he fell unconscious. Izuku, QUEPASOCONESARROGANCIATUYA, ha 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 ha, says mockingly to start laughing maniacally. Hearing Izuku's laughter, several people reacted and began to yell at him to stop. Specifically, most of them were from Class B, even the teachers who had not yet arrived were called, but Izuku continued as if nothing had happened, until he heard a voice. Rumi, Izu, stop it. That's enough. Says, making Izuku grab his head. Izuku, shut up. I want him dead. Rumi, you wanted to be a hero, right? Getting Izuku to look at her. What you do is not a hero, Monoma is not a villain, he's just a very annoying jerk. Saying this, Izuku began to move his arm slower, decreasing the power of the blows in his right eye returned to normal. Izuku, must see continue, he must die. Says, recovering his tone, but he began to hit Monoma again with less force. Faced with this, the students were going to attack Izuku, but before taking a step, Midnight arrived, who was the first teacher to be informed of what was happening. Midnight, Izuku. Calm down, everything will be okay. You will be okay. Hearing these words, Izuku, instead of seeing Midnight, saw his mother moments before dying at the hands of All for One, causing Izuku to start holding his head, starting to cry and scream in pain, releasing Monoma in the process, who was immediately taken to the infirmary by his classmates from Class B, while Midnight began to approach Izuku and tried to use her quirk to calm him down. But by that moment, Izuku's quirk returned to its natural blue color and regained his sanity without anyone noticing. Izuku began to look everywhere, realizing that he got carried away by his emotions, and also seeing Midnight approaching to calm him down. Izuku started to back away. "I'm sorry," says, whispering, only being heard by Midnight and Jiro. Saying that, Izuku suddenly starts running towards one of the cafeteria's windows, going through it and flying away using wings created by his quirk. After such an act, the other teachers arrived, but it was too late because by then Izuku had already left the UA. With Izuku, shit. I knew it was going to explode at some point. Why is this happening to me? This is getting more difficult to control. Screams while flying at high speed. Izuku, AHG. Damn it. Says to relax little by little. It doesn't matter. That stupid insult to my mother was deserved. Now I have to take advantage of the fact that I'm not at UA, says, starting to remember something. Flashback attack on the laboratory. Izuku can be seen being carried out on a stretcher unconscious from the laboratory by two doctors. "Doctor, what the hell happened to this kid?" Doctor 2, this place turned out to be a laboratory and he was one of their experiments. Doctor, what sons of bitches is interrupted? Doctor 2, after you curse him, now you have to take him to the UA to be treated by recovery. Doctor, okay. Both doctors load Izuku into an ambulance. Driver, where to? Doctor 2, the UA is 15 kilometers north of here, let's go quickly, urgent attention is needed. Says, causing the ambulance driver to start driving. Doctor, it's incredible that there was a laboratory in the city forest all this time. Doctor 2, yes. Maybe it's not the last time we see something like this. Says, worried. End of flashback. Izuku, I know where I have to go. Says, in the direction of the forest. Meanwhile at the UA. All the teachers can be seen gathered together, including recovery, talking about Izuku's attack on Monoma. Vlad King, how is my recovery student? Says seriously. Recovery, not in danger, but all his limbs were broken, several broken ribs, and he had a slight contusion on his head, says, shocking the teachers. Vlad King, now. I want to know, why did Aizawa, your student, attack mine? Says, angry. Aizawa, calm down Vlad, I don't even know why I attacked him, says, tired. Midnight, I heard from the students that Monoma said something that made Izuku angry. Cements, how will we know it is true? Nezu, we can see that on the security cameras. Nezu takes a controller and turns on a screen where it shows the recording of everything that happened. Midnight, that boy deserved it. Says, angry. Nezu, explain to us, Midnight. Midnight, first, Izuku told me that Monoma was always bothering his class, which he hated. Second, Monoma bothered his class again and, more importantly, he insulted Usagiyama. Says, annoyed. Snipe, why was Usagiyama so important? Midnight, she is a friend of Izuku and is quite attached to him, although I don't like her very much at times, for Izuku, says, going from an explanatory tone to a jealous mother tone. Snipe, okay? Approaches present Mike and whispers, what's wrong, Mike? Present Mike, that, my friend, is called jealous mother syndrome, whispers. Midnight, well, I was missing one more, Monoma insulted his mother, as we can see, which made Izuku lose control. Nezu, young Monoma should be punished for the problems he caused, and Vlad will talk to him. The aforementioned nods, disappointed in his student. Now we have to see what happened to young Midoriya, because that points to the screen where Izuku appears out of control is not fury, that is madness combined with hatred. All Might, it's true, it reminds me of All for One. Have they found evidence of what they did in that laboratory and who it was? Says seriously. Nezu, all we know is that all the people locked up had very useful quirks and most of them lost them. Aizawa, that means. All Might, that All for One and the League could be involved. Cementos, there is something that doesn't add up in all this. Says, drawing everyone's attention. Present Mike, what's up, friend? Cements, if they stole the quirks, why does Midoriya still have his? Considering how powerful he is. Says, making his point. Nezu, I think there is something that can help us solve that. All Might, who would be a director? Nezu, we found some encrypted files in the lab, I requested that it be decrypted, but they couldn't do anything because it's too advanced for them, so I'll send them to the Hero Hawk so he can decrypt it. Midnight, that's good. Nezu, but taking advantage of the fact that you are here, Midnight, what I know is that you get together with young Midoriya to talk in your office whenever you can. Midnight, yes, why? Nezu, I wanted to know if he ever told you about what they did to him in that place? Midnight, the director always avoids the subject at all costs, which worries me even more. Says sadly. Nezu, even more so? Says with doubt. Midnight, me and the whole class have noticed that Izuku hides all his emotions on purpose, he only shows them when he has let himself go, in the case of when he took the exam and when he sang at the festival. Nezu, one more reason to know what's inside those files. Midnight, I just hope everything goes well. Says worried. Nezu, it's what we all want. Midnight. With Izuku. You can see a dark and abandoned laboratory, where knocks began to be heard, one louder than the other, until the entrance was knocked down, revealing the silhouette of a young man where only blue eyes could be seen, which little by little began to vary between red and blue, to finally settle on a deep red. Izuku, I never thought I'd come back here. But that doesn't matter anymore, I escaped and I'll make sure that you have the worst possible death all for one. Location, UA facilities. Classes had already ended for the day and all of Class A was waiting for Izuku to appear in the dorms after training, since most of them were worried, especially Rumi. When they returned to the dorms they looked for him everywhere, but there were no signs that he was there, so they just followed their routine and stayed up late waiting to see if he would appear, but nothing. Even the teachers had started to stand guard in case someone tried to enter, hoping that person would be Izuku. Time skipped to the next day. The entire Class A was preparing to have their classes, well almost everyone, because Melissa, Kirishima, Tsuyu and Uraka were with the big three and Aizawa was taking care of Iri, who had just returned, since she will learn to use her quirk in UA under Aizawa's surveillance. Iri was happy to see those who saved her, but she asked a question that they couldn't answer. Iri, where is Mr. Izuku? Asks, looking everywhere. Nobody knew what to answer, they couldn't just tell him that they don't know anything about Izuku. Aizawa, he had to take care of some matters outside of UA, it shouldn't take long for Iri to arrive. Iri, okay, I hope to see you soon, says, smiling. As time passed, everyone finished their classes, now only combat training for Class A and Class B remained. Nehire, Aizawa-sensei is going to take Iri to see the fights? Aizawa, I hadn't thought about it, but it's okay. Says tired. Nehire, then I'll bring her. Says excitedly as she starts running. Aizawa, remember that he is in recovery. Says only for a yes to be heard in the distance. With Nehire. Nehire just arrived at the infirmary. And saw Iri playing with the band-aids, patches or patch curatas, as you call them, because she had several stuck on her arms and face, causing Nehire to hug her because of how cute she was. Iri, hello Miss Nehire, says, accepting the hug. Nehire, hey little one, do you want to come with me to watch Melissa's class training? Iri, yes, says, discouraged. Nehire, what's wrong, Iri? You don't want to go? Iri, it's not that, I do want to, but Mr. Izuku hasn't arrived. Or is it that he doesn't want to see me? Nehire, Iri. He would never refuse to see you, in fact he may have already arrived and is with his class. Iri, you're right, let's go quickly. Says, regaining her excitement. Nehire, yes, Iri, says, smiling, where are you, Izuku? Thinks before leaving with Iri. Recovery, they really forgot I was here, thinks offended. Upon arriving at the gym they were able to see a Bakugo vs Tetsu fight, while the other students from both classes watched attentively, but Iri did not pay attention to the fight but instead looked everywhere for Izuku, but unfortunately he was not there, which discouraged her instantly. For a long time, several battles were held where members of both classes won, there were only a few battles left. Nehire noticed that Iri was still depressed, so she asked Tamaki for her cell phone. Rather, she borrowed it without him knowing and passed it to Iri, playing some songs, making Iri start listening to some of them, but she liked one so much that she listened to it about 4 times and then started humming it and trying to sing to herself. Iri started humming the song from the beginning until she got to the chorus. Izuku, hello little one, says, smiling. Iri, Mr. Izuku. Screams, drawing everyone's attention. After saying that, Iri runs to hug Izuku, who accepts immediately. Iri, I thought he wouldn't come because he didn't want to see me, says as her eyes fill with tears. Izuku, of course not, little one, says to start caressing her head. I just had to do something, seeing you makes me happy, little one. Iri, thank you, Mr. Izuku. Izuku, no, thanks to you for coming, little one. After finishing speaking, Izuku gives a slight smile that is answered by another one from Iri. In that, Izuku looks at the others who were surprised to see Izuku there without anyone noticing. Izuku left Iri and walked towards Aizawa, who was with Vlad King. Aizawa, where were you, Midoriya? says threateningly with his quirk active and trapping him with his bandages. Izuku, I had to do some things, says calmly. Aizawa, what exactly? Izuku, what I do is my problem. Aizawa-sense says seriously, now could you let me go? Aizawa. This salts at Izuku. Izuku, did I miss something important? Aizawa, luckily for you, today's classes weren't of great importance, but now there was combat training. Izuku, can I join? Aizawa, it's your decision. Izuku, well. Starts looking everywhere looking for someone. Rumi. After calling everyone, Rumi came out and quickly approached Izuku. Rumi, Izu. Are you okay? Says worried. Izuku, yes. Rumi, that's good. Now kicks Izuku in the stomach. Don't disappear like that again. Don't you see that you worry us? Screams angrily. I was worried. Says whispering so they don't hear her. Izuku, ouch. Okay, that hurt a little. Rumi, now tell me, what did you want? Still a little angry. Izuku, let's fight. Rumi, huh? Huh? Kaminari, friend, we know you are strong, but Usajiyama is the strongest in our class, even giving problems to some of the third graders, says scared and trying to keep his partner alive. Izuku, you didn't tell me you were the strongest, why? Rumi, you didn't ask, says shrugging his shoulders. Izuku, hey, clever girl, but it doesn't matter that you're the strongest, I owe you a fight. And I love fights. Says slightly excited. Rumi, finally someone who understands me well. She says excitedly to the point that her tail moved quite fast. Kaminari, well, I tried to warn him, but it didn't work, so Mineta calls the funeral home. Mineta nods and takes his cell phone. Should I ask for a traditional funeral or one with dancing? Kaminari, those who dance must be sent off with style and honor. Says proudly. Mineta, okay, do you pay for it or me? Kaminari, I don't have enough money. Mineta, what? I'm not going to pay her, I need the money for my magazines. You already know which magazines. Kaminari, come on please, you have a shelf full of magazines, control yourself. Mineta, but they are very good. Kaminari, your partner is more important than those magazines. So these two began to argue to see who would pay. While in the center of the gym, Izuku and Rumi were ready to begin their fight, which everyone was waiting to see how the fight would end. Well, almost everyone, because Mineta and Kaminari were still arguing. Izuku, what are you waiting for, bunny girl, attack. Says mockingly. Rumi, what a bunny, huh? I'm going to break your legs. Annoyed scream, making Izuku smile. Rumi jumped quickly and arrived at Izuku, throwing a side kick at him, which was blocked by Izuku's arm, which was covered by the energy of his quirk. Rumi was going to throw a punch, but Izuku grabbed her leg and threw Rumi away with enough force to make her crash into a wall of the gym. Rumi, not bad, Izu. Says smiling with great emotion, releasing an incredible predatory instinct. So, I tried to find another one where the smile of emotion is shown more, but now that I look for it I can't find it greater than V. Rumi launched herself at Izuku again, but before reaching it she hit the ground, raising dust and clouding Izuku's vision, which she took advantage of to deliver a direct blow to Izuku's stomach, making him retreat a few centimeters. Izuku, ah! That was unexpected. Rumi, I don't just train my body, pointing to his head. Izuku, hey! My turn, God, this one disappears. Rumi began to look everywhere for him until she felt something behind her. Izuku, speed. Izuku manages to land a blow on Rumi's back. Then he began to throw punches from different directions, in order to neutralize Rumi, but she began to dodge Izuku's blows to finally throw a side kick directly to the ribs that threw Izuku into a wall, burying himself in it. Izuku, damn, I think there are 5 ribs in there, thinks in pain. Rumi, don't tell me you can't take a single hit from me, says mockingly. Izuku, oof. I've received worse hits, but it's not bad. Says to appear next to Rumi, only that you will need more than that to defeat me, you know. Says to do a sweep and give a direct hit to the face. But Izuku would not count on the fact that at the moment he was falling, Rumi would grab him with her legs, locking him in a lock around his neck, making him fall. So, what a good movie. Rumi, you must be very sleepy now, right? Says tightening his grip. Izuku, what nice legs, thinking no, not even a little bit, he says to finally lift Rumi as if she were a feather. Thinking no, not even a little bit, he says to finally lift Rumi as if he were a feather. Izuku, wow, you don't weigh anything, Rumi says somewhat amazed. Rumi, ah. Rumi throws a kick straight towards Izuku's head, causing him to throw her, but Rumi would take advantage of the momentum to launch her attack. Rumi, moon ring. Izuku, shit. Izuku tries to cover himself with his arms, reinforcing them with his quirk, but Rumi's kick broke his defense along with both arms, receiving the blow to the head creating a fracture in his skull, in addition to hitting the ground hard, raising a curtain of dust. Kirishima, is it over? Mina, I think so, that attack by Rumi is very accurate, I could even say lethal. Melissa, but how will Izuku be? Says worried, since she saw the exact moment when Izuku's arms broke. Back to combat. Rumi, don't tell me that's all. Where is that strength of proof? Screams somewhat angry. Izuku, he gets up in a somewhat fast way, showing blood on his head, in addition to having his eyes rolled back. Don't get too confident. He says, speaking with difficulty because he was at the exact point before falling unconscious. Rumi, I won, idiot. Don't you see how you are? But no one expected that Izuku's arms began to readjust and his head stopped bleeding. Izuku, AHG. Much better, looks at Rumi. You're going to need a lot more than that to make me fall. Rumi, For some reason she was more serious than usual. And so they began their fight again, giving each other accurate blows with such power that the ground began to crack little by little and the glass vibrated due to the pressure generated, but as they fought Rumi showed himself to be getting angrier little by little until at one moment he stopped. Rumi, you think I'm weak, right? Says with a dark look. Izuku, no, because is interrupted. Rumi, don't you dare lie to me. You think I'm weak. Angry scream. Izuku, what makes you think that? Rumi, you're not fighting with all your strength. How much did you use in the exam? Izuku, it's not. Rumi, how much? Izuku, I exceeded my limit. 75%. Rumi, and now? Says frustrated. Izuku, 50% is my current limit. Rumi, you never thought me strong. Says sadly. Izuku, This is going to hurt me more than you. Says to take a breath, 100%, says in his mind. I know it's the same as Godspeed, but imagine that it has a more uncontrolled aura. Rumi, smiles slightly, putting himself on guard. But before she even made a move, Rumi received 3 blows to the stomach, making her fall to her knees. Rumi managed to get up quickly, but she remained weak because the blows were very powerful, and she couldn't find Izuku anywhere until she felt a presence behind her, so she kicked with all her strength, but there was nothing. She could only turn around again to see something that made her instincts go crazy trying to make her escape. Rumi managed to get up quickly but remained weak because the blows were very powerful, and she couldn't find Izuku anywhere until she felt a presence behind her, so she kicked with all her strength, but I've been wanting to put that up for a while. Rumi could only fall to her knees, paralyzed by fear, while behind her she could see how the wall was destroyed, leaving a trail of destruction that reached the training city, knocking down one or another building. Everyone was more than surprised by the fight they just witnessed. The only one who wasn't entirely surprised was Aizawa because he was calling cement to fix everything. Izuku, if I used it a few more seconds I wouldn't have counted it, says laughing lightly, coughing up some blood. Rumi, I lost. He is very strong. I'm still weak. Says in a low voice, but heard by Izuku. Izuku begins to approach Rumi to bend down and hug her, causing several people to end up with their jaws on the floor. Izuku, you are not weak, Rumi-chan, this is the most fun fight I have ever had. You are very strong, there is no doubt that you will be much stronger in a short time, but I will not make it easy for you. Says smiling. Rumi, thank you, says accepting the hug, while on her face she had a slight blush, which she immediately removed so that no one would notice. Well, I'm at tsundere. Izuku, separates from the hug. Also, if you managed to dodge or resist my last attacks, you would have beaten me, since using 100% would kill me just reaching the minute of using it. It's more like I feel like my body is burning right now. Says making a slight grimace of pain while a little blood comes out of his mouth. Rumi, what a complicated quirk you have, don't you? Says laughing lightly. Izuku, stay serious. Rumi, in his mind. Izuku, ha 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 ha, starts laughing. Rumi, oh ha ha ha, she stops worrying and starts laughing with Izuku. Izuku, you're absolutely right, says regaining his serious tone little by little. With the others who saw this. Class A/Class B/teachers, the least sensitive and friendly person at UA made him laugh. They say shocked. Back with the main character and the rabbit that turns you on more than the summer sun and hits you like a truck. Izuku, let's go, this place is a mess and I want to sleep, says, stretching out his hand to Rumi to get up. Rumi accepts the help by taking the hand, but first let's go to recovery, I need to heal some bones and ribs. Izuku, sorry about that, then let's go. Both began to retreat, but they are intercepted by an Eri who jumped, knocking down Izuku, while at the same time they were surrounded by their class praising them for such power that they showed in the fight, although praising went on to laughter seeing Izuku agonizing from the pain of his body that being hugged by Eri increased too much, in addition to receiving a good dose of tenderness from Eri at the same time. Until Izuku managed to get up with Eri next to him, to begin to leave, but this time Class B stood in front of them, leaving Izuku face to face with Class B while his class was behind. Izuku, what do you want? Says seriously, looking at Monkey with them, who was all bandaged. Class B, we are sorry. They say, bowing. Izuku,
Kendo, on behalf of Class B, I apologize for what my partner has done, says approaching Izuku.
Izuku, fine, but what assures me that he won't do it again? Kendo, we will keep an eye on him and as compensation for what he did to you, I will do whatever you ask me to, she says nervously, impressing her class as well as the others. Izuku, whatever, says with a gloomy look. Kendo, why yes, she says very nervously, even with tears in her eyes, because she imagined what they were going to ask her. Izuku, hey, says, putting on a more somber look and with a smile that did not show good intentions. The classes were going to act against Izuku, especially B, since they knew he was going to ask his classmate, but before he could do anything. Izuku, Kendo, says, putting his hand on Kendo's head. Kendo, EA. Izuku, cure, says, putting on a certain hero face. Take 2. Now yes, sorry, but the idea came to me and I can't help it, JS now if you continue reading. Izuku, Kendo, says, putting his hand on Kendo's head. Kendo, EA. Izuku, let's be friends, says, ruffling his hair. Kendo, but I thought you were going to, she is interrupted. Izuku, I'm not some bastard or pervert, says, pointing at Mineta, let's just be friends, Kendo, although I'm not going to deny that you're quite beautiful. Says, blushing to Kendo, while Rumi was quite upset. Izuku, that goes for you too, says, pointing to Class B, even your Monoma, let's try to get along, okay? Class B, hi. Everyone responded happily, except Monoma, who was impressed by Izuku's words. Izuku, well now we go, is interrupted by a scream. Midnight, Izuku screams to hug him. Izuku, why won't they let me sleep, says to himself in his thoughts, hello Namuri-san. Midnight, are you okay? Why are you like this? What did you do? What happened to you? Asks quickly, tightening the hug. Izuku, if I don't drown, he's going to break my back, says in his mind, I'm fine, this is because of the training, so calm down a bit, you're crushing me. Midnight, she lets him go, it's good to know that. But how did you disappear like that? She yells at him and hits him on the head. Izuku, is it Izuku hitting day or what? Complains internally, okay sorry. Midnight, sorry isn't enough, you and I are going to have a little conversation. Realizes that Izuku wasn't paying attention and was just looking at the ceiling, are you listening to me? Izuku, where did the big 3 go? What is Nehire doing? With Nehire, you can see a building where different heroines come in and out. This was the heroine Ryaku's agency, but we're focusing on Ryaku's office. Ryaku, Nehire, I have to go out, so you'll be in charge today, don't do anything crazy, okay? Says, opening the office door to leave. Nehire, don't worry, everything will be fine. Ryaku, are you sure? Last time I left you in charge, you set the hot tub water on fire. Nehire, I still don't understand how I achieved that. Ryaku, me less, goodbye. Leaves. Nehire. Nehire runs off to sit in Ryaku's office chair. Nehire, sighs, I am admin. Ryaku, suddenly enters Nehire. What did I tell you? Nehire. Presses a button and brings a microphone to her mouth, I am admin. That scream was heard throughout the building, even people passing by were able to hear it. Back with the protagonist. Midnight, okay, you asked for IT. She puts an anti-quirk collar on Izuku, then takes out her whip and ties Izuku's legs and starts dragging him. Izuku, hey. Let me go. Midnight, you and I are going to talk seriously. Izuku, no, I'm leaving. Using his strength, he buries his fingers in the ground and begins to walk with his arms in the opposite direction. Midnight, oh no. You won't. She applies a little more force and drags Izuku. Izuku, where does this woman get her strength from? Says a little scared, since Midnight is carrying him as if he were paper. Help me. Says, looking at both classes that were expectant. From both classes, Kirishima and Tetsu tried to go help him, but they only received a death glare from Midnight, making them back off. Kirishima/Tetsu, sorry bro. Izuku, traitors. Says to be dragged by Midnight, being lost from sight by his companions. Eri, is Mr. Izuku going to be okay? Melissa, she'll be fine. Little one says, caressing Eri's hair, I think. Awesome time skip. We can see Class A already in their break time doing their usual things, besides being with Eri, so some played with her, especially the women who at times thought she was like a stuffed animal. Obviously Mina and Toru. Although a few moments later they heard someone enter, so they went to see who it was and found an Izuku with bumps on his head, which were slowly disappearing, as well as marks from a flip-flop? Well, Midnight has that high-caliber weaponry. Izuku, women are scary when they propose, thinks with a slight chill hello. Rumi, Izu. How are you? Says, seeing the state of his friend. Izuku, I'm fine but more tired, since they didn't let me sleep. Says tired, but he remained serious. Kirishima, friend, Midnight was really angry. Says nervously. Kaminari, and why was Midoriya so angry? Izuku, because I disappeared for a whole day maybe? Says sarcastically. Kaminari, oh. Right then he gets a slap from Jiru. Hey. What was that for? Jiru, for asking stupid questions. But before anyone mentions anything, an eerie salve appears to hug Izuku, causing him to be surprised, but he still hugs her with pleasure. Izuku, Eri. I thought you weren't here already. Says with a calm smile. Eri, yes, Mr. Aizawa is busy and Shield is taking care of me along with his class. Says, giving a tender smile. Izuku, it's good that you're here, Eri, and have you met everyone yet? Eri, yes, but I don't like the dwarf with the spheres on his head very much. He says strange things that I don't understand. Says innocently. Izuku, what did I tell you, shorty? Says irritated. Mineta, don't talk about women in a vulgar way, especially if this is Eri. Says something nervous. Izuku, I'm glad you didn't forget, now go away, I'm too tired to leave you buried 3 meters underground. After saying that, Mineta disappears and the only thing you hear is a door being closed. Eri, Mr. Izuku? Izuku, what's wrong, little one? Eri, could you play with me? Nervous question. Everyone saw how Izuku just stayed quiet, making Eri sad, thinking that he didn't want to play with her, and the others thought that Izuku was very tired or simply didn't know how to play with a child. Izuku, of course I'll play with you, Eri, sorry if I stayed quiet, it's just that it took me by surprise. Says to carry Eri in his arms. Eri, may I see your room? Izuku, sure, why not, we could play there if you want? Eri, yes. I scream excitedly to jump out of Izuku's arms and go to the hallway of the rooms. Izuku, it's the other way, Eri, my room is on the left. Everyone sees Eri again running and screaming towards Izuku's room, then Izuku goes after her to play, while everyone watched this scene with tenderness, seeing how Izuku endures all his tiredness just to make Eri happy. Rumi, she looked at Izuku with a smile, I think I know what I feel, she thinks while still looking at Izuku with a slight blush. In the protagonist's room. Izuku, well Eri, this is my room. Is it just me or is the bed in the photo extremely small? What sleeps there? A smurf? Izuku, and how are you? Eri, she's quite pretty, Mr. Izuku. Izuku, thanks. Says with a slight smile, and to think that I fixed it this morning, thinks nervously. Izuku, okay, little one, it's time to play. Says, making Eri jump with excitement. For hours the only thing that could be heard was laughter coming from Izuku's room, who was playing with Eri, creating different games with his quirk. Since they are small things, they only use a small amount of his energy, such as creating different animals, telling them stories narrated by him, while with his quirk he created the characters doing a kind of mini play, making her fly with angel wings, among other things. It was already quite late and Aizawa arrived in the main room of the Class A dormitories, watching his children socializing, but he was surprised to see that Eri was nowhere to be seen. Aizawa, where is Eri? Says lazily, scaring some people seeing how she appeared out of nowhere. Melissa, she's with Midoriya in her room playing, although we haven't heard a noise for a while. says with some doubt. Aizawa, no one thought to check if something happened, says somewhat annoyed, seeing how they just shrugged their shoulders as a sign that they had no idea or it didn't occur to them. Aizawa proceeded to advance at a slightly accelerated pace, while the entire class followed him towards Izuku's room. Luckily for them, the door was unlocked, so they opened the door slowly, only to find something that would surely give anyone diabetes. Mina, how cute, whispers. Melissa, I should leave them like this, Aizawa-sensei. Whispers to her teacher. Aizawa, okay. Starts to close the door to leave with the class. I have no choice, it's very difficult to wake Eri, thinks a little nervously, memories of Vietnam. Ida, apparently Midoriya is pretty good with kids. Says moving his arms, although he smiled at the responsibility of his partner. Toru, Midoriya, it seems that you will be a great father in the future. Says getting everyone's attention. What? Whole class Rumi, that was weird. Toru, but am I right? Whole class Rumi, but you're right. Momo, hey. Todoroki, what's wrong Yaoyorozu? Momo, Usajiyama froze, says moving her hand in front of Rumi's face. She doesn't react. Bakugo, I think Deku left her traumatized in the fight, says the Muslim, creating a mini explosion next to Rumi's face to see if she reacts. Zero, it makes sense to me. Says to go watch TV, being followed by some. But the truth was that in Rumi's head only the word Izuku will be a good father resonated. Melissa then approaches Rumi with an idea to make her react. Melissa, hey Usajiyama, Mineta is eating your carrots. Says in a somewhat loud tone. Rumi, hey. Fucking dwarf. Leave my carrots. Angry screams, ready to hit Mineta. Mineta, this guy had just come down from his room, what did I do? He says nervously, shaking like jelly. Melissa, sorry Mineta, it was for a greater good. Who am I kidding, I don't regret it, he deserved it, thinks without any remorse. Awesome. Time skip the next day. Everyone had already gotten up and was up having breakfast. The curious thing was seeing how Izuku was having breakfast, with Eri on his shoulders while he used his head as a pillow to continue sleeping, and apparently it was quite comfortable because Eri didn't even flinch. They spent the entire school day like this, training and studying. Now you can see Class A in the living room watching a movie all together, until it ended and Mina came up with the idea that everyone should tell about their mothers, which made Todoroki a little uncomfortable and Izuku just showed a more serious face, so they went one by one telling about their mothers. Even Todoroki ended up mentioning his mother, but it was only something short like she's good. Now it was Izuku's turn. Mina, Midoriya, you're the only one missing. Says smiling. Izuku, I don't feel like talking. He said seriously but cold as a glacier. Mina, come on, talk. Everyone has already talked about your mother. Says something demanding because curiosity was killing her. Nosy, get a life. Izuku, I just don't want to talk about mine. Says a little irritated. Kirishima, hey Mina, he doesn't want to, he says, taking her by the shoulder. Mina, no Kirishima. Says removing Kirishima's hand. Mina, come on. You never talk or tell about your past. Says without thinking, as curiosity got the better of her. Izuku, why is it my life? Something that shouldn't interest you. Says raising his voice, implying that he is upset, because he hates nosy people. Izuku, I'm going out, I'll be back in a bit. Says as he leaves the dorms on his way to the UA exit. Bakugo, don't you know when to shut your mouth? Says angrily to Mina. Mina, I want to know about him but he never talks. Momo, it's his private life, you can't pressure him to tell you. Mina, but is interrupted. Bakugo, do you know the case of a woman who was found dead in front of a police station years ago? Seriously asks. Jiru, yes, but don't tell me that. Bringing his hands to his mouth. Bakugo, that was Deku's mother. Says shocking everyone, so think about the person before your interests, raccoon eyes. The atmosphere became somewhat tense, so several began to disperse to do their things, while Rumi prepared to leave, this being seen by Bakugo, who knew what her intention was, so he passes by Rumi and says something to her. Bakugo, whispering you'll find him at the cemetery. Proceeds to leave. Rumi stood still for a moment, thinking if he was telling her the truth, before finally deciding to go. Rumi was jumping across the roofs of houses and buildings on her way to the cemetery. When she arrived, she searched for a while until she saw Izuku in front of a tombstone. So she took advantage of the nearby tree and jumped up, hiding and managing to hear, thanks to her ears. Izuku, sorry for not coming sooner, Okasan. You have no idea how much I miss you. Every day I can't stop thinking that I couldn't save you. Tears start to accumulate in his eyes. You know, I never forgot how you sang to me every night. You even taught me how to play the guitar in addition to the classes I had, and I was thinking of returning the favor, right? After finishing, Izuku couldn't do anything but burst into tears remembering his mother, while Rumi in the tree was overflowing with tears hearing her friend/recent love interest sing with so much suffering. Izuku, I promise to come back, Okasan, and I swear that I will make those who took your life pay. Even if I become the monster they wanted me to. He says as he starts to leave, and his eyes went from green to red and finally back to normal. Rumi was worried when she heard this, but it also left her confused with becoming a monster. Rumi proceeded to go another way so that Izuku wouldn't see her. But what no one noticed was that on Inko Midoriya's tombstone a flash of light appeared showing the silhouette of a person. Izuku,